Hey Ben, nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Awesome, awesome.
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you so very much for being here. Like I mentioned earlier, and I truly appreciate it. And you see, Ben, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. All right, and I do this so often because I feel like it is important. So, firstly, Ben, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Ben, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it, and I went my way. But you see, Ben, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, but ripe mangoes. It looked so beautiful. It was a special moment for me that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are today, Ben, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. You see, because getting to read about the beautiful things that you're doing, the impact your work is having, and your insights, your philosophy, it's amazing. Can you still hear me? Okay, there we go.
Yep, I
Yeah,
can still hear you.
it's amazing your work and the impact, and I love the amazing things that you're doing. It's really mind blowing and amazing, and I got attracted to it. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope,
Well, it's a pleasure to talk with you. And I love that analogy about the mango tree because when I lived in Florida, people used to look at their mangoes almost like it was a nuisance because, when people go to mow the lawn, there's mangoes everywhere. And I always just thought that was so funny because it really depends on your mindset. Like something as beautiful as a mango tree can either get in the way of you mowing your lawn for a short period of time, or it can be a delicious gift, a beautiful work of nature. And it is a work in progress. Yeah, so my name's Ben McQueen. I'm from Indiana here in the US, and growing up I was around a lot of drinking and alcohol abuse and a lot of unhealthy situations. And in my early youth and up through my formative years in high school and college, I was pretty much immediately attracted and wrapped up in the world of substance abuse, whether it be using cannabis or drinking alcohol. It was really not a fun way to live. There it was it was fun in the beginning, I think, but then it quickly devolved into a very destructive pattern of behavior. And so I, at the age of 20 years old, started to try and figure out a path to sobriety, a path to recovery. And I failed badly. I even though I wanted all the consequences of my drinking to stop, I wanted the pain to stop, the shame, the self-hatred. I wanted all of that to stop, but I just couldn't make it stop because I couldn't stop drinking without help from some kind of facility or you know really even that couldn't help me. I drank as soon as I got out of rehab. And when I was about 25, I was lucky enough to be introduced to a tradition from the South Pacific Islands called kava. It's a 3,000-year-old tradition of drinking a strong beverage produced from the roots of the kava plant, Piper methysticum. Because the roots of the kava plant contain kava lactones. These are naturally occurring compounds that cause a relaxation, a cheerfulness, but not an inebriation that you would associate with alcohol. And this introduction to kava changed my life. I was able to stop drinking. I started to put one foot in front of the other and make right decisions for my life that benefited me and didn't hurt me. You know, when I was introduced to kava, I was living in a halfway house. I'd been homeless in Colorado and was totally destitute because my drinking had destroyed my life. And within a few years of drinking kava, and one of the best things about kava is it's kind of an introduction to a community of people that don't drink alcohol but are trying to better themselves, trying to do something better for themselves and for their bodies. And within a few years of being involved in this movement, so to speak, I started my own company here in Idaho. And we're a bar. We don't serve alcohol. We serve kava and other fun non-alcoholic beverages, but we also ship products all over the United States that are ready to drink kava products. And my life has turned around in such an amazing, miraculous way. You know, I've got multiple years of sobriety under my belt now. I have a beautiful family. I've got 3 kids, a beautiful wife, a home that I never could have imagined that I would be living in. It's not like a mansion or anything, but it sure beats a halfway house, you know, sleeping with another guy in the same room. And it definitely beats sleeping on the streets, because I can tell you that is not fun. And I owe it all to kava and to the people within this movement that are driving a non-alcoholic social scene in the United States. So that's kind of what I'm all about. That's what I've been doing lately, is just trying to spread the good word and let people know that if you're out there and you don't have hope, if you're out there and you're feeling like you're going through something that nobody else can understand, like there's people out there that understand, and there's people out there that care, and you can recover. Yeah, sorry, I missed part of that, but I think you were asking like to expand on kava, like it's a tea, right? Was that the question? Yeah, so it's a rough root tea. It's essentially, you could take the dried, or if you're lucky enough to get it freshly harvested and still green and wet, you take the roots of the kava plant and you work them in a I use a nut milk strainer bag, and you just massage it and squeeze it and knead it in the water, essentially making an emulsion of kava. And it's a very simple preparation. It's just the roots of the kava plant and water. And so, but within the roots of the kava plant are compounds known as kava lactones. These kava lactones, like cavein, yangonin, dihydrocavein, desmethoxyangonin, methysticin. These compounds act as anxiolytics. They relieve stress and anxiety, which for people that struggle with addiction has a pretty universal effect of whatever you're craving. It satiates the craving. I like to say that it scratches the itch without spreading the rash. Like when I drink kava, because kava is not physically addictive, there's no withdrawal from kava. Whereas when I was drinking alcohol, there's a withdrawal from alcohol. So when you start withdrawing from alcohol, you feel terrible. You feel sick. You feel really a hangover is kind of a withdrawal. But as you get deeper into alcoholism, it gets darker and darker and more insidious and more painful when you withdraw. And so that's a physical marker that draws you back to the substance. Whereas when you drink kava, you feel calm, you feel relaxed, you feel kind of euphoric and cheerful, very socially comfortable, but you don't feel drunk. And then you sleep and you wake up and you don't feel the immediate need to go drink more kava, because there's not a physical hook to kava. It's just not part of the pharmacopoeia of it. It's a very kind, compassionate beverage. That's why I named the company Karuna, Karuna. It's a Sanskrit word for compassion. It's a very compassionate beverage because it satiates desires for more harmful addictions while introducing you to people that are also aligned with a wellness mindset, that are trying to better themselves. And really, I would say more so than kava, it's the community of people that I am involved in that help me stay sober one day at a time, because connection is the key to recovery. You have to reconnect with your community, with your purpose, with your values. You have to reconnect. And so kava, while it's a fun beverage, it's got a lot of cultural importance for the people of the South Pacific Islands as well. It's a ceremonial beverage, but also a staple in the diet of many South Pacific peoples. But it's also a tool for both recovery and social connection. And it's a really beautiful tradition. I'm just really happy to be able to share it with people. Yeah. And I always joke and I say, like, our Kava Bar is kind of like the midway point between an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and a dive bar, like a drunken dive bar, because it's not a traditional recovery setting. It's not a church basement. It's not a government mandated meeting. But what we are is we're a place where people can come. They can come and hang out. We've got a lot of other stuff besides kava. We got teas. We got kombuchas. We've got all sorts of fun stuff to drink. None of it contains alcohol. So, and I've heard this a couple times and it like almost makes me cry, because like they'll tell me, I was sitting in the parking lot of the liquor store thinking about going and getting a bottle of liquor. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to go to Karuna and I'm going to go hang out with whoever's there. And they're so happy that there's this alternative, because really we live in a society that is alcoholic. Alcohol is everywhere. If you struggle with alcohol, it's difficult because it's on the radio, it's on TV, it's in the movies, it's in music, it's everywhere. You can get it at the grocery store, the drugstore, it's all over the place. And our little space here it's almost like a safe port in a storm. People can come here and connect with other like-minded individuals who are trying to better themselves, and they don't even have to worry about alcohol because it's not here. We don't even consider it. It's not a part of our world in this little cove of happiness that we've created here. And also, you get two people that are struggling with a similar issue and you set them down next to each other. That is where that recovery happens. It happens in knowing that you're not alone, that you have support, that you have friends, and you're not crazy. Like, other people want to better themselves in the same way. And so, and also just the physical properties of drinking kava. I don't like to call it really an alternative to alcohol because that relates it too much to alcohol, but it's another social beverage that creates connection and friendship and joy that has nothing to do with alcohol. So yeah, we've jumped through a bunch of different challenges, one of which is misconceptions about kava. Because of a medical incident that happened in the 1990s, some people are under the misconception that kava is harmful to the liver. This all came about because of a medication called Latan that was made with an acetone solvent extraction of kava. So the way I like to kind of frame it and help people understand it is, if I have an apple, it's a delicious, tasty treat. But if I have 100 pounds of apple seeds and I run acetone through them, I've just created cyanide. Literally, that's how you can make cyanide with apple seeds. And so kava was being misused because of the way it was being prepared within this pharmaceutical drug. And I think it was somewhere in the range of 20 to 30 people had adverse reactions to this drug. But Meanwhile, there's a 3,000-year history of kava having a safe use when you make it in a tea, the way that we make it, where it's just a water-based preparation. So that's been a challenge. And kava also it's the Tongan word for bitter. So it's not traditionally like super delicious. It's very earthy, very bitter, kind of woody and peppery. It's actually a member of the black peppercorn family of plants. So there's like a peppery quality to certain kavas. And so people, especially here in Idaho, who are just have no concept of what kava is or what it's supposed to taste like, it can be abrasive to taste in the beginning, but and it's also just working with the government here and the local municipality government to make sure that they understand what we're doing so we can get licensed. You know, you've got to jump through a lot of legal loopholes. You got to find funding. You got to create there's all sorts of challenges, but every single challenge is an opportunity to grow. And so if you're out there and you're thinking about starting something up and you go, but I've got to do this, and this before I can reach my goal. Well, you got to break those goals down a little bit, because my original goal was to start a kava bar, but I didn't have any money. So you know what we did? We started a farmer's market stand. We just went and set up a table in a tent. Instead of needing $100,000 to start a business, I just had, $600 worth of stuff that I started with and started serving kava in the community. So you got to start where you're at. You got to start small with a big vision. Yeah, so check us out at karunakava.com. That's KARUNAKAVA.com. You can find our products there. You can find more about our company there. We also are on Instagram and Facebook at Karuna Kava. We put out a lot of fun content, a lot of educational content. So check us out on our links there. And if you order right now on karunakava.com and use the promo code SUMMER, you actually get 20% off your order. So if you're going to visit the website, make sure you take that promo code with you.